Hey, good afternoon. It's Wednesday. We're back on Come On Ref. You might notice things look a little bit different. Uh, Sometimes it's like that, right, Brian?
Yeah, change is good. It's necessary.
I'm your host, Brian. I've got Brian Essence Collins with me. In a little bit, we'll be joined by Ben Bales. Brian, how's it been going, man?
Everything's good. Been back to doing a lot of music business work, working on tours for people, just kind of reclaiming some lifetimes and watching Olympics, man. Feeling good. How
Nice.
about you?
Same. No, we're not working on music business stuff and helping people with tours because it's not really. I wouldn't be helping anybody if I tried to help anybody with a tour. I can say that. I don't know what I'm doing, but yeah, watching the Olympics, just trying to figure out where the summer went. I feel like
Yeah.
every few years when the Olympics start, that definitely like kind of signifies the end of the summer for me. It's like, well, here we go. We have a couple weeks, and then the kids are back in school. But
Yep.
yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Olympics. I see. It. Are you now? You're not in Paris, are you? Are you in Paris?
No, not this year. At
Oh
least
yeah,
not yet. I was actually supposed to be. We were planning on. I was working with a break dancer
really?
who was part of early Olympic things, and we're
Yeah,
planning some events, but didn't end up getting flights booked in time.
gotcha. Okay, okay. Well, that's still pretty cool. That's really cool. I have no Olympic connections other than just I can stream them on a couple different streaming networks. I'm pretty proud of that.
Oh yeah,
Um, and I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, today's going to be just basically the Olympics show. We're going to talk about the Olympics. It's been a little while since you've maybe seen us. We've taken a couple weeks off, or at least we've looked a little different for a couple weeks. But I feel like things are back now, kind of full time. We can pencil in this time slot every Wednesday
yes,
around 1 o'clock, 1:30 for Come On Ref from now on. So I think we can safely say that we'll be here, and hopefully you guys will be too. But yeah, like I said, Brian, I mean, like the Olympics are in full swing, man. Like things are happening. It happens so fast, right? Like you
yeah.
watch the opening ceremony, and it just seems like, okay, well, I don't want to miss anything, so I'll make sure I watch
Mhm.
tomorrow. And then a couple hours go by, and all of a sudden there's a medal count.
Yeah,
Uh, it's really wild, and obviously we'll talk about the medal count in a minute. It's as up to date as we possibly could be. It's a
yeah,
very fluid situation. I mean, people are literally competing in events right now in Paris, so that's actually pretty cool to think about. That it's just there seems like there's always something going on. But what would the Olympics be without a little controversy, right? It can't
of course.
have some kind of. I mean, somebody's got to be upset about something. And some of these things, I guess, are well, rightfully so, right? We've got dirty water. That's a thing. The Seine River is. They've had to postpone some events because of some
Yeah,
E. coli concerns in the Seine River.
yeah. That's gross.
That's
I was
gross.
wondering, just before all of this, the issues they had with rats. I was in Europe. I was in the UK last summer, and I remember seeing about the outbreak of bed bugs
Uh,
in Paris. Like, man, you gotta clear that shit. Like, that's
yeah,
gotta be fixed before you have the entire world coming.
right. Yeah, you can't have 10,500 whatever athletes in the Olympic Village and yeah have bed bugs and rats and other rodents of concern.
Yeah.
It's
Oh yeah, and the dirty water too, and
yeah, yeah. It's all around. It's a mess. Listen, Paris is a beautiful city.
yeah,
It's a romantic city.
yes.
Maybe maybe not the cleanest. Whatever,
No.
whatever. Just don't look too deep. We've had a drone spying scandal. I thought Bill Belichick or Connor Stallions was in the house, but no,
Right.
Canadian women's soccer team. They've had coaches banned. They were checking out New Zealand, seeing what they were doing, I guess, in their practice, and now they're in all kinds of trouble. Um, and then, of course, during the opening ceremony, people were upset because they felt like the Last Supper was depicted and therefore mocked in some way. Listen, I think people reach a lot to get really upset about certain things. I
Yeah,
get it. Religion's very important, but I don't think that was the intent. Did you see all that? Did you catch any of that?
yeah, I did, and it's always interesting, when people pick and choose their battles because that, you know, famous meeting and painting have been depicted so many times in recent memory, just in pop culture,
Yeah.
like TV shows, album covers, cartoons. And I don't recall hearing boycotts against all of those. There's even a restaurant here that sent something out, Town Hall. They're not going to be showing any Olympics anymore.
Really?
And they said, they weren't making a stance as Christians, but just saying, if you mock any religion, but I don't know. People were complaining that there were drag queens and whatever in it. Basically the people that Jesus would have hung out with and talked to are the ones that were shunning an entire event
Yeah.
for, and
Yeah. It's confusing. I mean,
I don't know.
I don't see how inclusivity is a bad thing, but you know, I guess to some people it can be. Um,
I
I
don't
don't
get
really
it.
know what to say about that. I'm just going to move on.
Yeah.
We'll take a look at the medal count here real quick. Like I said, we've got as up to date of a medal count as we could possibly have. Right now, the USA leads with 28 overall medals. I don't have the breakdown of gold, silver, and bronze, to be honest with you. I know they did not lead in gold medals at the time when I looked at this. So, for what it's worth. Then you see France second. The home country, I guess, has to represent well, right? They have 22. And China's always pretty strong in a lot of the early on events. They have 17 medals right now. So the U.S. is kind of taking an early lead. I wouldn't say that it's a commanding lead, but they lead the medal count, right?
I saw a headline today that this was the first U.S. is the first country to break 3,000 medals, like
Really?
cumulatively for the entire Olympics. I
Okay.
can't remember the exact breakdown, but
Yeah.
that's impressive. 3,000.
It is. I think all the numbers that really surround the Olympics every year, I get kind of fascinated with that. I like to look at like what goes into it. And I just like I mentioned earlier, 10,500 plus athletes. Um,
Wow.
what was there? There were 329 events total. I think 700 and some with like all the medal ceremonies and everything like that, the award ceremonies and everything else. So 700 some different events if you're looking for that. Millions and millions of spectators live. I think they said 350,000 hours of TV broadcast time would be spent on the Olympics, which is astounding.
Wow.
I mean, 350,000 hours. Like that's how many things are really going on at one time.
That's
But the one
insane.
that blew my mind was this one. This blows my mind. Okay, so the athlete, but we always hear stories about athletes village.
Hmm.
Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not so good. You know, I guess it depends on what you're into. But anyway, the one that got me was over the course of the next whatever, not 19 days anymore, but I guess there's about maybe 14 days left, just about 2 weeks. Um, 600,000 plus meals per day served at Athletes Village, and I thought, who's eating at Athletes Village? Like, they're not eating 600 meals a day, are they? Are these people like, wait, who's eating
Oh,
all
I
these
would.
meals? What's that?
I would if I were there.
I
I'd
would too.
just stay there and I'd watch it on TV. Like, I don't know. I'll just sit here and eat.
Yeah,
Enjoy
just go
my
experience
cardboard
Paris
bed.
and well, this is where you hope you're like, you're like women's gymnastics or swimming, right? And you get everything out of the way in the first 3 or 4 days, and then you can just kind of party for 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
I feel bad for some of the people that like their event finals are like August 9th, August 10th, like the last couple of days of the Olympics. It's like you really have to stay focused for 19 days in Paris, and I'm
Yeah.
sure they're there longer than the 19 days that the Olympics start. But I mean, you're there probably a month, and it'd be really good to get them out of the way early. I would think.
I would rather.
Yeah, I think. I mean, they were talking about the women's gymnastics. We were watching the team competition the other night, and they were talking about the stress. I think Jordan Childs was the first to go on the vault, and they talked about like the stress of, or maybe it was the balance beam. I'm not really sure, but they talked about the stress of going first and being like the one to lead off for your team. And I don't know. I think I'd rather just kind of go out there and do it first, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't want all those other performances and all the other scores in my head. I just want to go do my thing and I don't know, let it ride, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Absolutely. Like with all of this stuff, and I remember even just being in basketball tournaments in high school and things like that, or AAU tournaments, and you get there early and you have a game and then you have to wait while six other teams play and just kind of
Yeah.
sitting and just the anticipation, like, man, I want to get out there, but
Yeah.
you don't want to eat too much. But if you have too much time, you got to like,
Yeah.
you don't want to party too much, but you're like, damn, this could be the only time I'm at the Olympics. So I want to take advantage of this.
Right. Right. That's a hard thing because you really do want to take everything in. And I think sometimes that's a good point. Something I wanted to bring up too is we sometimes put failure on people. you know what? Let's get Ben in here. Not speaking of failure. I don't want to.
Speaking of failures.
That's a terrible segue. Speaking of something Ben Bales would never do, we're talking about Olympic failures, Ben.
I can just leave. I can just leave right away.
Well, don't do it. Enjoy your 19 days here because we're in the Athletes Village for a while. Listen, I want to say failure, by the way. I put up the air quotes. I don't know if you can still see my fingers. I think it's ridiculous to think that someone who finishes in the top 3 in the world, or even outside of the podium, right? You go to the Olympics and you finish 6th. And some people like to throw the failure moniker on those people. And that could anything be further from the truth? I mean, you're the 6th best in the world at whatever you're doing. That's not failure. I don't know.
No.
Maybe I have a different view of failure than some people.
Yeah, like failing to get a gold medal. But a failure, like, you know how many people, it's not just like, well, you're the first 3 people that signed up, so you're in it. Like, there are all these Olympic trials and tests and medical exams and everything they have to do.
Like to even get to the Olympics, you're one of the best in the world at your sport.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously you go to the Olympics wanting to medal, right? But even if you don't medal, you come in 6th place. You're number 6 in the world in that sport.
Yep.
Like,
it's an amazing experience. And this comes from people who, by the way, sit on their couches and eat an entire bag of and listen, I'm not throwing stones. I've done this, okay? But I'm saying
I might even do it tonight.
I might do it tonight, but I'm not Olympic material, and I know that. And I watch these athletes, and I'm in awe of what they can do. From the whatever you might consider to be the easiest sport, and we'll talk about. I have a good question for you guys later. If you're ever going to pursue your Olympic glory, I want to know what your guys' sport would be. But we'll talk about that in a moment. But yeah, I mean, to call these people failures, these athletes, I mean, it's just a wild miss. I mean, that's hard to believe that actually happens. And I've seen comments already about the women's gymnastics team, by the way, who won gold.
Yeah.
And about how they're failing the country. And
I don't know if you saw that. A former person that was on the team said that they were lazy, lackluster, and didn't have the talent to win a gold medal besides Simone Biles.
Yeah. Michaela Skinner did say that. And Simone Biles, she shot back a little bit after they won the team gold. I don't know if you saw that. Rightfully so. I mean, she did it with
absolutely.
Class, you know what I mean? With class and elegance, like she does everything. Not surprised at all. So I wanted to ask you guys, we just were talking about the medal count, and we brought you in while we were talking about the topic of failure, which I thought was a terrible segue for you. You're not a failure, buddy. But I just wanted to ask you guys, like, and Ben, since you just got here, I'll ask you first, man. What are your favorite traditional events to watch during the Olympics? Like, what do you look for?
Swimming. I grew up watching Michael Phelps. Yeah. He's my favorite Olympian of all time. And that dude, talk about a winner. All that did do was, I don't know if you guys saw the interview he did with Pat McAfee the other day.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, he had Pat McAfee's asked him, he's like, dude, all you did was win. And Michael Phelps was like, yeah, he's like, during my career, he's like, I didn't say it. He's like, because I was humble. He goes, but I'll say it now. He goes, all I did was win. He goes, that's all I trained for. And he goes, but I'm going to say it now. He goes, of course, all I did was win. He goes, I'm the greatest ever. He goes, what do you expect?
I mean,
like,
you have to have that mindset.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I grew up watching Michael Phelps. I mean, I grew up watching, Katie Ledecky. I mean, obviously, she's still going. But I mean, for a while, I mean, obviously, then it's
she's just always swimming. Yeah.
I mean, then it's the traditional, probably basketball.
Yeah.
Obviously soccer, because I'm a big soccer fan.
Yeah.
Go USA.
Yeah,
but
right.
we made it through our group rounds for the first time since 2000.
Finally.
Matches, all right.
Yeah. First time since 2000, so
right.
We're
I was almost a young man back then.
Dude, I wasn't even born yet the last time they made it to the knockout stage of the Olympics.
Wow.
Well, we don't
baby.
Have how old I am, but
yeah.
Baby Ben.
Baby Ben, right. Baby Ben. Little baby Ben. Brian, what do you like, man? What do you like watching? What are your favorite sports?
I've grown to appreciate gymnastics. My mom always watched that when I was a kid, so I'd sit and watch with her, and it wasn't my favorite sport as a kid, but I watched it enough, and as an adult now, as an adult, knowing what it feels like in my late 30s to stand up and stretch, and to have to just walk around and do basic things, to see the feats that these people are able to do, the strength it takes on the Hobbit horse, like it's incredible. The balance they have, the dedication, having to know your body and your body weight, and knowing that if you were to gain any little bit of weight, that might change how you rotate and things in the air. It's, I definitely appreciate that. Swimming,
Yeah.
basketball and soccer, like Ben said.
Yeah.
It's always I would just turn the TV on and just whatever was on, I'd watch
Me
it.
too. Yeah.
Volleyball.
Yeah, me too.
I played volleyball, but watching the sand volleyball players, the 2-on-2 women's, especially in the last few years, that's when I think of traditional volleyball events or Olympic events. Those are the ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same. I think we're all on the same page, really. I feel like women's gymnastics is like the main event of the Summer Olympics. I don't think it's even really close.
Yeah.
It always has been since I was a kid. I mean, I remember watching like Shannon Miller and Carrie Strug with my buddy every day before we'd go to the county fair. We'd come back and make sure we caught the gymnastics. It's going to be on about 7:00. We got to get it. Let's leave the fair. It's the main event. Carrie Strug doing we'll talk about our favorite moments later, but yeah, just yeah, women's gymnastics is cool to me. The men's gymnastics is amazing, like you said. Just the strength, and like you said, you talk about being in tune with your body as an athlete, right? No one is more in tune with their body than a gymnast. I mean,
No.
can't be. There can't be anyone that's more in tune with their body.
Speaking,
What's that?
I was just gonna say, speaking of men's gymnastics, do you guys see that the boys Team USA has just a guy that's dedicated to the pommel horse?
Yeah.
He sits there for 2 hours waiting for his time, and then as soon as he's called, people are like he's like Superman. He takes off his glasses, goes out there, competes, and wins a medal.
That's awesome.
I love it.
Personalities are so cool too, man. Every year, I mean, it's like, and finally now the men are starting to get a little. Usually, it's like the women that get all the notoriety, right? Like they get all the press, and that's fine. I mean, like I said, it's kind of the main event. But yeah, that was cool. The men were so pumped about the bronze medal. That was awesome. They were so happy to have won a medal. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And again, I saw people on social media, calling it a failure.
It's been 16 years since the last time we won a medal.
Yeah. Let these guys be happy, man. And Brian, you talked about standing up and stretching. Like if someone behind me calls my name and I turn around too fast, I got to sit down. You know what I mean? And they're 12, 15 feet in the air, flipping. Nah, I'm done, man.
Nope.
Okay, so this year, listen, we've got some non-traditional sports or events, whatever. I don't know what you want to call them. I mean, they're sports. They're Olympic events. I guess we'll call it a sport. Break dancing is one. I think that's really cool, man. I think it's awesome. I can't wait to watch it. I've already been on Peacock trying to watch it, but it doesn't happen until later on in the Olympics. So I'm out of luck there. So maybe in a week or so. But that's one I'm looking forward to. I kind of like to watch badminton. I don't know if you guys consider that like a traditional Olympic sport. Badminton is cool. Table tennis. What are your guys like? What do you consider like a non-traditional event? Like, what are your favorites to watch? I know you said you can just turn it on and watch anything, but you always have that one searched out.
There's some, like you said, I'm excited for the new ones. Breakdancing, I've been working with a breakdancer for years, and he's been doing competitions and judging and producing events. So understanding that side, and they did breakdancing at the 2018 Junior Olympics in Argentina. Okay. So they tested it there. So I'm excited to see, how it's applied for adults, and maybe that can be, another deep dive episode. I don't know if you saw this story for, I think it was table tennis. There's a woman, a Chinese woman who's 58.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that. Yeah.
They changed some rules. She lost interest, ended up moving out of the country, and she decided to get back into it. And as gives me hope. I'm terrible at table tennis. I'm terrible at it. Haven't played in years because I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
But to see someone like that, like just such a cool story.
I'm kind of speaking of that. I wanted to ask you guys a question. Chad, we'll start with you. If you had 1 year to train for an Olympic sport, and then you had to go compete at that Olympic sport, which sport do you think you'd have the best chance of medaling in?
Well, that was one of my questions I was going to ask you guys. Like, if you had to pick a sport right today, right, that you could possibly get to the Olympic level in, I mean, it's got to be something I don't have to move a lot in, right? I can't move.
Yeah.
We talked about, turning around. I don't want to turn around.
Not gymnastics?
Probably not gymnastics. I don't think, my body probably isn't ideally suited at this point at 45 for starting out a gymnastics career. So no, probably not gymnastics. I would say, man, what would be my best one? Probably badminton would be the best shot that I would have because there's a limited size of the court, right? Like I don't have to cover too much ground. I'm sure I would get absolutely embarrassed by anyone who's even remotely come close to qualifying for the Olympics in badminton. But I mean, maybe with some practice I could get there. I have pretty good hand-eye coordination. What about you guys?
What do you think, Ben?
I mean, I think mine's kind of an obvious answer. I mean, I'd probably have to pick soccer.
Okay.
If I was given a year, I mean, I'm a couple years removed from soccer, but I feel like if I did every day, like 8 hours a day, like they do, train for soccer, I truly think I could have a shot of making an Olympic roster.
There you go. Get started.
Because, I mean, will it happen? Probably not, but because the way the Olympics do it is, soccer is it's U23, and you're allowed 3 players that are over the age of 23.
Gotcha.
So, like USA this year, we won with
players that are double the age of 23.
I mean, you could if they're still good enough.
Maybe I should start training.
Yes.
Be a player coach.
Brian, what about you?
Oh boy. I feel like if there's something really obscure, I'm looking at the list now. I was decent at archery when I was in Boy Scouts.
Okay.
Probably nothing with running and jumping.
On the next episode, Ben will put an apple on top of his head. Brian will shoot
Yes. Let's see. Possible volleyball. I've never really ridden a horse. Like I've been on like pony rides at the fair when I was a kid, so equestrian's out.
It'd be fun to train for, though. It'd be really fun to train.
Oh, that would be fun.
Horses are awesome, man. I love horses.
Rhythmic gymnastics. I've got rhythm.
Yeah.
Not tough enough for rugby sevens.
Okay.
Synchronized diving.
I mean, listen, synchronized diving would work. If one of you guys would go up with me and we would just fall like a rock off the platform, we could probably synchronize that pretty well. I could do that.
You know what? I'm gonna go with water polo.
Okay.
Ooh.
I'm pretty tall.
Yeah.
Like I can tread water pretty well. All of the men on all of the country's teams are way better than me, but I think if I really dedicated myself and I found some heritage to a really small country where I've got a really good chance, like if I go back to Honduras,
okay,
I feel like I might be able to do that. That's my best shot.
Yeah, I thought about team handball. I was watching some team handball the other day, and it looks fascinating to play, and it just looks like a lot of fun. It's cool to watch.
What's the Winter Olympic sport where you can lie down and just head first tucked going down?
Oh, the luge or whatever?
The luge,
yeah. The luge, yeah.
I'm big. I weigh like 6'6", 240. Like I think gravity's in my favor.
For Uber, by the way. That was the
I think they got rid of that because a couple of years ago a guy flew up the side of it and ended up dying.
Yeah.
Oh.
I could be wrong.
No, that sounds right.
Or not, but I do remember that happening, and he was practicing. He was on a practice run, and the curve was bad. I don't know something was wrong with the turn or whatever. I do remember that was really sad. Man.
All right, maybe not.
Yeah, so maybe not that one.
Yeah. Maybe if they had like a 100-meter version of that.
I would try curling. Have you watched curling?
Oh,
yeah.
It looks like such a cool sport.
Curling.
I'd have to really stretch, though. I don't know if I'm flexible enough to be the one who,
Would you be the broom guy or?
Well, I could be the broom guy, but I'd probably fall down a lot. I just have to be the broom guy from the ground. I'd be on the ice, like, pulling myself along, being the broom guy or something. I don't know. That's some spikes on my gloves. I don't know. We'd figure out something. I'm sure that's legal. Before we get out of here, I just think we want to keep it nice and kind of short. So we already talked about our best shot at the Olympics. I want to ask you guys, a couple of these are so clear in my memory, but what are your favorite Olympic moments? Like I've been watching the Olympics for a long time.
I just saw mine on TikTok before I hopped on the show.
Okay, what was it?
It was in
he
2008.
Didn't know about it before this, they just saw it on TikTok, and now it's his favorite.
No, it's one I always go back to during the Summer Olympics. It was 2008 when Michael Phelps was trying to break Mark Spitz's record of 8 gold medals in one Olympics.
Yeah.
Came down to the final relay, the 4x100, the 4x100 freestyle,
Okay.
and they had the reigning world champion who had the fastest ever split in the 4x100 meter relay for France. He was competing for France. He threw some shade at USA, saying we're going to come in there and absolutely smack him, and it's not even going to be close.
All right.
Michael Phelps opened the race, gave the USA a gigantic lead. Then France, clawed their way back, and that guy jumps in on the anchor leg, leading by like a body and a half. And USA's anchor at the time was Jason Lezak, 32 years old, had a
Okay.
couple disappointments at the previous 2 Olympics, and wasn't even on the prelims team.
Yeah.
But when they went to the finals, they thought that he gave them the best chance of winning a medal.
Okay.
And coming to the final 100 meters, he was down by like a full body length and ends up tracking down the world champion to win Michael Phelps' 8th gold medal.
I vaguely remember there being like some exciting finishes with that, but I didn't know all the details. That's
Yeah, dude, it was
Wow.
Jason Lezak hadn't won a medal at the Olympics.
man.
Pretty much, he was favored in his 2 previous races. Didn't even medal in either one of them, and then tracks down the world champion in the 4x1 relay and ends up winning it for Michael Phelps.
It's crazy what a little resolve and willpower can do for you when you're
It is.
that
It's
trained of an athlete. When you're in the moment, like you can really turn it on and do some special things. It's really cool. Brian, what's yours, man?
Oh man, being such a big basketball fan for the sport, as an American, it sucked when we didn't do so hot and we were in the bronze medal game. But for the sport of basketball, seeing Argentina and Spain play was just an amazing moment, and I think that really is an important moment in international basketball history
Yeah.
to kind of get us to where we are today. I grew up a big Shaquille O'Neal fan, so watching Shaq win a gold medal was awesome. Watching him play against some of these other guys, I just remember watching all those games with my dad. I watched some of the original Dream Team,
Yeah.
in '92, and I loved watching that. Seeing Simone Biles, like that one was incredible.
She's amazing. I
That and
everything
any
she does
Usain
is
Bolt,
amazing.
dude, Usain Bolt was
Yeah.
that dude literally retired because he said it wasn't fun anymore. Like the dude retired at the top of his game because he says it's not fun anymore.
he wasn't even running. I don't think he was running his fastest. I remember watching some of the Olympics, and like a couple steps before the finish line,
Yeah.
he slowed down. And like
Yeah.
you could have gotten a slightly faster time, which is insane to think.
There are rumors that he wasn't even really fully training his last couple years. Like he just was sort of, kind of going half the time and mailing it in, and I mean, just was naturally that fast. That's amazing.
Wow.
That's incredible. I mean, think about some of the times if he really, really had focused for, I'm sure he focused at some point, but I feel like he could have. Well, he's already got amazing times. Who cares? What a weird conversation, but yeah, he's amazing. He's clearly the fastest human I've ever. It's ridiculous.
Okay, talk about how quick he is. Just Chad, before you say yours, a couple years ago, I think at 34,
Okay.
in street clothes, he tied the NFL's 40-yard dash in street clothes. Just pulled up and was like, "Hey, can I run this?" And like, "Yeah, sure." runs a 4.22 in street clothes.
Right.
What a jerk.
Right. Just out the car without stretching. Like,
Dude, it's like at 34 years old, he's running a 4.22 100-yard dash.
well, not a 4.2200 because that would be
Or
amazing.
a 40-yard dash. Yeah, my bad.
He runs a
Wow,
4.2200-yard dash.
No, see, I'm getting confused.
We got to get him tested immediately. I don't know what's
Yes.
going on, but that's the road runner. I don't know what happened. But yeah, I don't know. My favorite moment really stands out for me. It was again women's gymnastics. It was 2012 in London. The women's team pretty much needed Michaela Maroney to be perfect. I don't know if you remember. She was on the vault. She kind of hurt her ankle. I think she had like a pretty serious foot injury.
Yeah.
I remember at one point they said she could barely put weight on it. It was like, man, it all comes down to this. Like the vault, like you got to be pretty mentally tough to throw yourself up, like close to 20 feet in the air, knowing you're going to land on an injured foot and have to do it pretty much perfectly.
Yeah.
And I mean, dude, like it was the look on her face right before. I was like, she's gonna nail this thing. Like she absolutely knew she was gonna nail it, right? And then she nailed it. I mean, she delivered perfection. She didn't get a perfect score, but probably should have looking back. I went back and I watched the vault a couple times again. I don't know anything about scoring gymnastics, but I know when other people that know the sport are telling me that she made no mistakes, I don't know. I believe them, right? Like, it looked physically impressive, and it was just cool.
Yeah.
Like, I just thought that was a really cool moment. Like, here's this 16-year-old girl. The literal weight of the world is on her shoulders, and she doesn't have a care, man. She just goes out
Yeah.
and absolutely nails it like a dog. Like, that was my favorite. That's my favorite
Yeah.
Olympic moment. That's cool.
I think. I mean, another one of my favorites. I mean, I know each give one, but I think mine would have to be probably
Yeah,
Michael
I only
Phelps'
asked you
last.
for one, Ben. Quiet.
It's probably Michael Phelps' last race in Rio, in 2016.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Because I mean, that's a guy I grew up watching. I mean, I was the first Olympics I saw was 2008. So I watched him for 3 straight Olympics, 2008, 2012, 2016. And like, I literally only would watch swimming to see Michael Phelps go out there and dominate everybody that entered the pool against him.
Yeah.
And when he retired in 2016, I was like, dang, dude, I was like, it's gonna be the last time I get to see him race.
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
that's-
It's wild, and it's like it's crazy how fast their careers go by.
Yeah.
When you think about it, it's like, oh, they should have so many Olympics, but it's only every 4 years.
Yeah.
And it's, like,
And
it's almost
I-
like a sad thing to dedicate your life to.
yeah, I think the funny part about Michael Phelps in 2016 is only reason why he raced, he was going to retire after 2012. But the only reason why he came back is because his mom's like, Michael, I want to go to Rio. And Michael's like, Mom, I can pay for you to go to Rio. Like, he's like, I'll pay for you to go there for a week. He's like, I don't got to compete. She's like, but I want to see you compete. So mind you, he hadn't been training for a year. Took a full year off because he was dead set. He's like, I'm retiring. And then finally his mom convinced him and said, hey, let's go to Rio. So he texted Bob Bowman and said, let's go. And then I'm going out there winning 5 gold medals in his final Olympics.
And so listen, he's allowed to say he's the greatest of all time. Like that. That's the official
Yeah,
qualifier.
that's what he said to Pat McAfee. He's like, I'm gonna say it. He's like, I'm the greatest of all time. He's like, all I did was win.
Softball, Ben, and I played a few months ago, and I almost forgot which end of the bat to hold, man. So I mean, yeah, I think you're allowed to say you're the greatest ever when you take a year off and just pick it up and win 5 gold medals at the Olympics. I think you're doing okay.
Yeah, I mean, well, the one that's more shocking about that is I don't know if you guys remember the whole 2012 story when he got in trouble for like weed and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like he got a couple, like he got pulled over a bunch of times, and him and his coach like absolutely hated each other, didn't want to work with each other. He was training off and on for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then finally his coach got to him and said, like, let's go do something special. He trained normally for 2 years and went out in 2012 and was still the best swimmer in the world.
That's wild.
That I wish I had that kind of talent, just to be able to take like kind of off and on for 2 years and just go out there and step into a sport and be like, man, I'm still good at this.
Yeah, you're not lying. Well, listen, guys, we got to get out of here. We wish Ben had that kind of talent too, but he doesn't. He's a failure. No, I'm kidding. You're really not a failure. We love you. Ben, listen, it was really good to do the show with you guys. It was kind of cool to get back into this, and
Absolutely.
I like the new look. I like it. We're a little streamlined. I feel like we're good to go for the future. So hopefully, like I said, every Wednesday, 1:30, check us out on YouTube. Listen, please remember to like and subscribe. It helps us grow. Listen, if you want to throw money at us, you can do that. We don't have a way for that. But if you just want to bring cash, we accept cash.
Mhm.
We accept gifts, gold medals, silver medals, even bronze medals. We won't call you a failure.
I'll take a bronze.
Yeah, we'll take all your medals.
I just want to be on the podium.
Yeah, absolutely. Just want to hear.
I just need the recognition.
That's it. I just want my country to see me on the podium while my flag flies. That's all I want. But hey, guys, listen. I seriously, it's great doing the show with you again. We'll see you guys next Wednesday around this time, 1:30. We'll probably still be talking some Olympic stuff. We'll have a more updated medal count. I'm sure some people win some more medals between now and then. And what else can we get into next week, guys? We want to find out who eats at the Athletes Village. And Ben's going to put an apple on top of his head. Brian's going to shoot it off live on the show. Sweet.
One thing we can talk about is how the basketball team doesn't stay in the Olympic Village. Look forward to that next week.
Okay. All right. So they're not eating all the meals. So who's eating the 600,000 plus meals a day? We need an expose. We need a guy on the ground.
Yes.
We got to find this out. So next week on the show, we're going to find out at least.
I say we send Brian to Paris.
Yeah.
I say we send Brian to Paris, and he'll be like our on-field reporter.
Yeah, most of his hat's already there. I mean, yeah.
Yep.
There it is. Oh, look at that. The 96 Olympics. There you go. That was the site of one of my other favorite memories. I think it was Kerry Strug's vault. Same thing.
Yes.
He had an injured foot and nailed like almost a perfect vault again to win gold. And again, man, just such a cool moment. It's the main event. Women's gymnastics is just where it's at. It's really cool. So anyway, we're gonna get out of here, guys. Thanks again. Like and subscribe. Please watch the show. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it with whoever. We want to talk sports with you. And please remember to comment, at any time, especially while we're live. We like to interact with you. But if you see the video up and you want to tell us about your favorite Olympic moments, go ahead and do that in the comments. So until then, man, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks so much again for watching. Have a good day, guys.